Anyway, welcome to the Three Pillars of DnD Cast. I'm Jesse, and today I'm just joined with Tyler.
A sea monkey.
Yes, a sea monkey named Tyler. And today we're going to be discussing the Magic the Gathering multiverse and how that plays into Dungeons and Dragons.
And how you can use it in your next campaign.
Exactly.
Or call us nerds.
So, the Magic the Gathering multiverse, is a good subject of interest, in particular for me and Tyler, because we play Magic the Gathering. So we know a lot of the lore, not all of it, because we don't read every story, but we're pretty invested. So we see a lot of the value in the multiverse. But the multiverse of Magic the Gathering is quite a bit different than the rest of the D&D universes, because the different planes in Magic the Gathering, they could all be prime material planes, like in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
They could be all their own prime material planes, but they are connected mostly by planeswalkers, which the planeswalkers in Magic the Gathering can go from one of these prime material planes to another. They don't necessarily go into the ethereal or the what's the other one?
Astral?
The astral plane so much. It happens on certain planes. It's a little easier to get to the astral or ethereal plane.
Yeah. And some planes have planes within themselves that act as astral or...
Yeah. And there's demi-planes that similar to Ravenloft.
Yeah.
That exist. So they have their own little unique qualities, but what they call when planeswalkers travel between the different prime material planes of the Magic multiverse, they go through what they call the Blind Eternities. The Blind Eternities, you can kind of think of it like space. There's not really a model that's been made of how the multiverse of Magic the Gathering connect. The idea is that one of the planes, Dominaria, is like the nexus of the multiverse. So almost all the ley lines, mana line things that kind of go through the multiverse all kind of go through Dominaria.
And now I have to explain what mana lines are.
Yeah, mana lines are like ley lines in other mythos. They have certain colors of magic to go into it, and that's a major factor when it comes to the Magic universe as well.
And one big part of Magic the Gathering is the Magic color wheel.
Yeah, and we will link in the description. We'll bring up the Magic color wheel, how they interact. There's articles that Mark Rosewater has written about the different colors and the color combinations. There are 5 colors being white, blue, black, red, and green.
Yeah.
How you combine those colors define personality traits of characters in the universe, and those can be major factors. I think when it comes to D&D, you can either include these to add a lot of flavor, or you can completely ignore them if you need to.
I think the color system is a lot better than alignments.
Yeah,
I define the character a lot better.
It does, and there's a lot of like different interpretations. Like one of these that I see up on the screen now is white is peace, blue is perfection, black is satisfaction, red is freedom, and green is harmony. And then you can combine any of those 2 colors together, and it means something else, because it's either defined by, like, say, blue being its major color and white being its minor, or they might be in perfect harmony with one another and be, half white, half blue, or something like that.
Well, white is more about order. White is order, and black is ambition and greed. Together, they make evil politician.
Yeah, or actually, a lot of the churches seem to fall on the white-black too, because it's all about order and life and death and things like that to a certain degree as well. There's a lot of layers to each of the colors, and like you said, I actually think it's a better system than alignment. It is just complicated. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down, and like I said, we'll link some of the what we consider some of the better images on the video. Of course, we'll probably bring some of them up right now, and then I'll include the Mark Rosewater articles because they're very good at explaining the color pie and the color theory and color wheel, however you want to call it, in the Magic the Gathering universe. Like I said, very useful tool. Some people will find it useful. Some people will find it uncovering. You can't ignore it when it comes to these campaign settings. But
we will mention it.
Yeah, it'll come up. But I think there's a lot to these campaign worlds that exist, that they've basically done all this world building for the card game, and they all translate very well in the D&D. There was 5 plane shift documents that they made that go over 5 campaign settings with some minor rules that you can use. All of them had an art book that was associated with it as well. It runs in the $20 to $30 range on, anywhere you can buy books.
Yeah.
It's just a giant world building guide, essentially, with beautiful pictures associated with it. They can give you a lot of the backstory on these campaign settings. We're going to talk about them, of course, each individually, either in this or multiple videos. And that's outside of the 2 campaign settings that they actually made it into full books, of Theros and Ravnica already. Ravnica actually has multiple art books associated with that, so if you want even more information on that campaign setting, you can find those books as well. One of the other things I happen to really enjoy about the Magic the Gathering multiverse is that you have a whole slew of artwork pieces from the cards themselves. You can look up sets that go with each of these planes, and you can find a bunch of inspirational art pieces to help you build characters, build stories, and things like that to bring to your Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Especially if you're someone like myself who cannot draw and struggles with describing things without a good piece of artwork to use. I like that.
Like a lot of art we've referenced on the show has Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hop into our first plane, Zendikar.
All right. So Zendikar was a world that was, when they originally conceived it in Magic, or the Magic universe, they wanted to be an adventure plane. They wanted to feel like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which makes it a very good fit for Dungeons and Dragons for that very reason. The qualities that make Zendikar stand out is that they have
floating cities.
Yeah, they have the floating hedrons. These are like giant
magical rocks.
Are they hexagonal or diamond shaped?
They're like a D8.
They're like a D8. Yeah, that's what it is. They're like flying D8s. They're kind of slightly elongated, flying D8s. And as the world history gone on, some of them crash to the ground, and they can be found on the ground on top of being in the sky. They're magical artifacts. They're usually set up in conjunction with the ley lines of the plane, the mana lines, ley line and mana lines of the plane. Both are concepts that exist in Magic the Gathering universe. And you can draw magic from them. You can make powerful equipment from them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there for your artificer classes, for your magic classes.
They're like magic steel. or magic rock closer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Probably turn into like a magic steel.
Exactly. There's that one particular aspect of Zendikar is just a fun aspect. So you can have, it can take place in the sky. You can have campaigns that take place in the ground, a mixture of those things. There's there's sky climbers who exist in the world who are all about getting up to those high places. And
there's dungeons that the plane creates.
Exactly.
There's huge seeds. And there's a vet called like the Royal. Where, like,
that's the next big thing is the Royal.
Plane and the magic itself, embodies itself and turns like elementals and like that rages to the plane, destroying itself. Exactly.
And so at any point, especially if you like wild magic, I would say, like if you like the wild magic sorcerer or the barbarian, and you want to have that random, crazy magical energy just constantly going throughout your campaign, the Royal from Zendikar is wonderful. It is just this constant random force that can screw up your day or be the best thing that ever happened to you, depending on how it affects the terrain at a particular time. Usually, like you said, it has elementals that follow in its wake. So there's that particular aspect of Zendikar that's fun. If you get the art book, they'll talk about some of the rich history of the world. In the beginning, it was mostly a world dominated by the core. They made most of the sky conclaves, the skyclaves that exist in the world, because of their ability to manipulate the hedrons and stuff like that. And
their ability to climb.
And their ability to climb and get around. Made for them being the ultimate power of the world. Their time came and went. The humans kind of came back up, and the Merfolk and other people of the world started being major factors. Goblins as well, or the major races.
Most cores climb. Most humans are like the adventurers and explorers. Goblins are like merchants and scavengers.
One of the big factors of the world that came in is that there's actually a lot of vampires. In this plane, there's a couple of different possibilities. They could have come from the Eldrazi, which we'll discuss in a minute, or they could have come from vampires from other planeswalker vampires that came in. Notably, Soren Markov may have been the one who was the progenitor of vampires in the plane. There's a debate on that one. And so that's a big factor of it. One of the other big things about the history of the world was there was 3 planeswalkers who trapped the entities called the Eldrazi on the plane.
And the Eldrazi are like Lovecraftian monsters. The Lovecraftian idea that there are beings like beyond us that aren't like even aware of us, and if they were aware of us, they could extinguish us in a snap. That's kind of what the Eldrazi are.
They're one of the few entities in the Magic multiverse that exist in the plane, the Blind Eternities. They survive in it. The whole point of the Eldrazi is not completely known. It's one of the mysteries that you can play with if you want to utilize the Eldrazi to a certain degree. Some theories suggest that they are recycling the planes, and that's their purpose, because they were locked away because they were destroying other worlds, basically. And these planeswalkers thought they were doing the universe a favor by locking them away on Zendikar, because Zendikar's hedrons can be used to make giant prisons, basically, giant magical prisons that can seal away super powerful beings. So the 3 Eldrazi's were sealed away, and then they started to kind of influence the world. They ended up being, after time, word of mouth, and stories changed after generation. They actually ended up being 3 gods on the plane: Ula, Cozy, right?
Yeah.
And what was her name? Emuria.
Yeah.
And they were worshipped by the different peoples of the world until eventually there was a whole storyline where they were released. Then they were sealed back away. Then they were released again, and they destroyed most of the plane. And then you have a whole. 2 of them were destroyed by a group of planeswalkers, and the other one was drawn into another plane for another storyline at one point. So when you're doing the world, you can have it take place before the Eldrazi were ever awakened. You can have it take place after the Eldrazi were awakened the first time, or after the giant war they had where the 2 were killed and the other one just disappeared from the plane.
Yeah.
It gives you various timelines to work with, so you can have a lot of fun with that. The Royal pretty much exists in all time frames. So that's just a kind of a constant you can work with, and the Hedrons are all around. So that's kind of the general idea behind the world. If you look at the cards, by the way, look at the land cards for Zendikar. They're beautiful and amazing, and they will inspire you like no other.
Them or me?
Both.
I've seen them. Yes, they are extremely good.
They're extremely good. Welcome to the Shameless Plug Break.
Where we fail speaking.
Yes, often. So you know, we have a contest going on now where we're going to be giving away Kindle Keep Mysteries on D&D Beyond. It's a digital copy only. To enter, all you have to do is use the hashtag 3PillarsCast on Twitter. You just have to use that. Tell us what you liked about your favorite episode, and of course share a link to that episode, whether it's the YouTube or the podcast version of it, with your followers. So that's all you have to do to enter the contest. And
optional pledge an oath to the channel.
Yes, optionally you can pledge an oath to the channel. That's not required, but we do appreciate it.
Less than an oath of vengeance.
Not the oath of vengeance?
No.
Well, that's not fun.
Well, who's we have vengeance against, huh?
I have vengeance.
That's not squirrel. So you can find us on Twitter at OurDorky, on Instagram at OurDorky
Family.
OurDorky Family. You can actually enter the contest there as well.
Oh, you can? Hi.
We also have a email account at OurDorkyFamily@gmail.com, and so you can, any one of those places you can leave comments, ask us questions, suggest show ideas, any of that kind of stuff. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're on a podcast, subscribe, rate it, any of that kind of stuff. Everything helps. And of course, share.
And if we beat 1,000 subscribers, which we won't, we'll give out 2 copies of the book.
If we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of this contest, we will give out 2. I'm actually okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I don't think it'll happen, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's why I said it. It's not going to happen.
So either way, that wraps up that. We'll let you get back to the show. Bye.
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 So we're going to go into what makes, like I said, they have these planeship documents. They're free on the internet. They're just some PDFs. They have actual D&D rules to go with them. So especially if you get those art books, combine these, and you pretty much have a campaign setting that you can use for your campaigns. So the first race is the humans. They're like your standard humans. One of the big things they bring up in the human description is the expedition houses. There's these 5 expeditionary houses launched for regular excursions into the world. These you can be used as campaign focused. So you can basically just keep assigning your players quests if you just want to do it that way. I think for newer players of Dungeons and Dragons, this can sometimes be an easier way to get them to transition from video game RPGs into tabletop RPGs by making it a little more video game-esque. So not just humans that do this, but it comes up in that section. So if you want to read that, that's a good one. Next, after the humans, we have.
I didn't mention. Most humans are white. Like, white is their main color, and the second is red. While humans can be any color, it's mainly white and red.
Oh, as the magic colors?
Yeah, magic colors.
Okay. Oh, okay. So the colors of magic that are associated with humans are the white and red mana.
Yeah, white and red mana.
Yeah, because that really matters sometimes in the Magic the Gathering universe, the colors they are. Yeah, and they're mostly red and white. Yep.
Yeah, and color can also define personality, so.
Yeah, a lot of the personality traits too.
Yeah, so while human can be any person, it can be any mana, they're mainly white and red.
Okay.
So, the next we have the core, which are extremely light, both physically and mana-wise.
Yeah.
Is all their cards are white, and physically they're like the whitest people on the plane. They aren't like humans that are called white. These people are actually white. Yeah,
they're white, and they have some other non-human facial features and traits.
They have white lines all over their body.
Well, and their eyes are pitch white as well.
Their hair is white.
Their hair is white. I mean, they are just white. So
yeah, he was white.
Yeah, on top of that, they have some really good racial traits for Dungeons and Dragons as well. So let's go.
Oh wait, crap! Okay. Yeah, they're lucky. That means if you roll 1, they get to re-roll it, and they have proficiency, athletics, and acrobatics.
They have a climbing speed as a natural trait. They also they have advantage on saving throws against being frightened, and if you insist on using ability scores the way they're written, they have dexterity score +2 and wisdom +1. Because with the lucky, is that the halfling trait, or is
that's the halfling.
That's the halfling trait. Yeah. So they have that halfling trait, those halfling traits, but they're not small. They're a medium build race. So, and then they have that climbing on top of it. So it's a really fun if you kind of like the idea of the halfling, but you also don't want to be short.
Basically the core is like a halfling, but replaces the smallness with acrobatics, basically.
Yeah.
Also, you get to climb.
Yeah, and also get the climb thing.
So replace smallness with climbness.
Yeah, so it's a nice little variant on the halfling, and it makes them fun. I like them. Then there's the Merfolk of Zendikar. They're one of the races that really took the religion quite seriously. So of course they were the most. So that was real important to them. Fun fact, I forgot to mention in the history, it was discovered that the 3 gods that they were worshiping were the 3 Eldrazi that were trapped in the world. So the Merfolk were especially torn when the Eldrazi came out, because they spent a long time worshiping them. Can we get down to the Merfolk?
Yeah. Mana-wise, they're blue. Like the mana they use is blue.
Yep.
But where's their basic abilities? Okay.
Yeah, it's there. There you go.
Look
Okay.
at all this stuff.
Sorry. So there's 3 types of merfolk that exist. They all share that they're amphibious, so they can breathe air and water. They all have a swim speed of 30 feet, and they're all medium sized.
Yeah, and the 3 types of merfolks are based off the 3 gods.
Yeah, so that was really important. So we'll go through those real quick.
Yes, and there's the Amiria Merfolk, which get extra, which get wisdom, deception, persuasion, and a druid cantrip. The Ula get navigator's tool, survival, intelligence +2, and a wizard cantrip. And the Cozy Creed get charisma +1 and intelligence +1, sleight of hand, stealth, and bard cantrip.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention they all get a charisma bonus of 1.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that earlier.
Plus yeah. They also all are amphibious, get a swimming speed of 30.
I mentioned that, yeah.
Oh, well, fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Cares about Tyler.
Merfolk are similar to Tritons. They're
But better.
Yeah. They're basically like a variation on the Triton.
Yeah.
And so depending on how you want to look at it, much like the Triton, they don't have dark vision, but since they're supposed to be up on the land a lot more, it actually makes a little more sense.
They're like wizards. Or not wizards, they live in rivers.
Yeah.
Rivers, and, of course, getting the land a lot.
So there's that, and then so after the merfolk, you have the vampires. So the vampires all have an intelligence score increase of 1, a charisma of 2. Of course, like I said, with Tasha's you can change that. They have a dark vision, of course. They have vampiric resistance, which is a resistance to necrotic damage, and then they have a bloodthirst, where they can drain blood and life energy from a willing creature or one that is grappled by them. They do a d6 necrotic damage, and then they gain that creature's hit point maximum is reduced by that amount. The reduction lasts until they finish a long rest. A humanoid killed in this way becomes a null, which is a special kind of monster that exists in Zendikar. We'll probably discuss that in a little bit. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the vampires in this world they don't have any sunlight sensitivity.
No.
They just exist. They obviously prefer the dark because they can use it to their advantage in hunting because they have dark vision.
Yeah, which is actually a cool reason to use vampires. They're not like weak in the light. They just prefer the dark because it's better for hunting.
Yeah,
I really like that actually.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. So because vampires exist as a race that's they all are more similar. They're not created by
not like created by like humans turning into vampires. They're more like just like a different race. They're just different.
Yeah, they're just a race that exists. So, and then there's goblins. Goblins are fun because they're more like they're one of the they scavenge in the ruins. Like you said, there's merchant ones. They're a major race. They're not morons. They're not idiot loser race. They're actually just as important as any other race on the planet.
Yeah. Now, with Zendikar, throughout the ages, the goblins actually changed. You see a lot more more like other goblins, like from other fantasy settings. But the one that ended out after the Eldrazi release, and the one that this Planeship article covers are the Grit goblins, which eat rocks.
Yeah.
Goblins that are covered in this book eat stone because that's like the diet they had to live on. So like, you know, they have dark vision, so they can see. Yeah, they have resistance to fire damage and psychic damage, and when they're wearing no armor, their AC is equal to 11 plus their Dex modifier.
Yeah, and that's for all of them. And then they have there's what?
There's 3 tribes.
3 tribes, yeah.
Grotag tribe, the Longstep tribe, and the Tuk-Tuk tribe.
So what makes them different? I'm not as familiar with
The
them.
Grotag tribe have proficiency in animal handling. The Longstep has advantage on dex or on stealth checks made to hide in rocky or subterranean environments. And the Tuk-Tuk tribe have proficiency in thieves' tools.
Yeah. So each of them have their own like little different specialties.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of difference in them, but okay, so the Grotech are the smaller and the weaker of their cousins with large hands and feet. They live by their wits.
They live by their wits. You know, like they tame animals, help live.
And then the Lava Step is the most industrious of the Goblin tribes, and they possess much hard-won knowledge of the geothermal activity in the Occam area.
Yeah, you live by like volcanoes or lava.
Yeah. And then the Tuk-Tuk are ones who tend to be like the ruined guides, and they're the ones who interact with the other races more often.
They're the ones that remained as the traders and like the guides.
Exactly. So, like, there's a little variety in their little cultures there. Elves, of course, exist on Zendikar, like every other like they have a base ability score increase of wisdom as opposed to dexterity, because that's right.
Yeah.
So that's different than most other planes. They have dark vision. They have the keen senses. So they always have the perception skill. They're a Fae of ancestry, so they can't be charmed.
And they have 3 or how many subraces? Yeah, 3 subraces.
All right, so there's a Tajura Nation.
The Moldaya and the Jiraga.
Yeah, the Taraja, they get a charisma score increase, and then they gain 2 skills or tools of your choice.
Yeah.
Which, that's just kind of cool. Makes them more like the half elves in a way.
Yeah.
The Jiraga Nation, they get a dexterity increase of 1. They have the elf weapon training. They have fleet of foot, which gives them the 35 base walking speed instead of 30. And then they have the Mask of the Wild.
They're very much like Wood Elves. Like, I think mechanically they're almost identical.
And then you have the Moldaya Nation,
which get superior dark vision, but they do have some like sensitivities.
And they have the strength point increase.
Yeah. Wait, strength?
Yep.
And they have Chill Touch and Tech Spell that they can cast, also Darkness. And of course, proficiency with long sword, short bow, and long bow.
So they're kind of like, I suppose they're supposed to be kind of reminiscent of the Drow, I suppose.
Yeah, I see Drow. Yeah, I can see Drow.
Yeah, but the Moldaya, that's what's that name? Like, let's go into the details. What makes the Moldaya Moldaya?
Okay, they're obsessed with death.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically they're concerned with the relationship of the spirit world and the mortal realm, and how those are just part of life and death. They're not really like necromancers. They just take that as an important part of the life cycle and everything like that. They have a lot of tattoos and face painting, and they make potions and acids and things like that. So that kind of sets them apart.
And then there's the Zendikar bestiary.
No, most of the bestiaries that exist in the Planeshift guides
are just like reflavors of other monsters.
Yeah, so you still have to have the monster manual to really take advantage of these. They just give you different names to work with.
Although there are some of them that are mechanically different.
Yeah, and they do provide a few different monsters, so it's a fun place to find some new monsters to play with, even if you're not planning on using these for your campaign setting. You can still do a lot with the monsters that show up in here. Yeah, so I mean, the Planeshift guide just gives you some of that basic stuff to work with, so you can have a little variety. And I think you can pull some of this information about, say, like the cores or whatever. There's other Magic worlds that, even if they don't have Planeshift guides, a lot of these races exist in other worlds, and you can use them there too.
Yeah, and something that I noticed, if you look at the the 5 unique races of Zendikar, they all represent a different color.
Yeah, and you'll see that balance come into hand when it comes to how they do races in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
So if you want to use the color pie as opposed to the alignment system, you can find ways of connecting things. Of course, heroes in Magic the Gathering universe usually are different than the everyday members of their races and classes and such. So,
but it doesn't always that isn't always shown through color though. Like Nissa, who is different than her other elves, is still green.
It's still green, exactly. And so there's a lot of different ways you can interpret the color pie. So there's a lot of depth to it. You just have to kind of study it.
The color pie can also be used in spell casting, but you will kind of have to develop that yourself.
Yeah, and that's mostly going to just be the flavor of how your spells are actually cast.
True.
And
although, like, Disguise Self, I'd say that's a very, like, black spell.
Depending on how you use it, though, it could be a bright blue spell, too, because of its trickery to it.
Well, trickery is more Demir.
Yeah, which is blue-black.
But that's black as well, so my point still stands.
It does. Well, that's it for this particular episode on the Planeshift documents for Dungeons and Dragons. So we'll see you next time. I'm Tyler.
I'm Jesse. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Take a moment here and let Tyler soak up his shame.
Shut up. Was that intentional?
No. It's kind of funny though. As she said, I'm Jesse.